Hello, this is episode 6 of Type 1 Talk. Type 1 Talk is a resource that discusses major points of what it is like to live with type 1 diabetes. And today we will be talking about the future of type 1 diabetes.
And we briefly talked about them, but how can we stop misconceptions on diabetes?
I think education is probably the biggest thing. Like, people need to be more informed about
Hmm.
and just more like awareness. Like on social media, you see people bringing awareness to all sorts of different things. So I think that would also be a big thing to help stopping misconceptions.
Also, I think even having companies try to distance themselves for it, going back to like the McDonald's that we talked about, I don't know how long ago. Um, you would tell companies like they should not be like saying like these things, and if they do, they should have to pay like a fine or whatever because it's hurting a community. I'm not saying like you have to like stop. Like there should be like, oh, you have to kind of distance yourself from this, or if you do, you have to explain kind of what's going on. Um,
Yeah, there
Even
should be
like
like,
running ads in general too. Like that could even help a lot.
yeah. And I agree with your thing. There should be like a penalty for spreading misinformation.
Hmm. Or like if they do, they have to like kind of explain why it relates to it. So you
Mhm.
can be like, oh, they're not just doing this because they're ignorant, they think this way. So I think that can like kind of help. Like you always see these ads for like, oh, helping someone in need or like trying to like bring awareness to this topic. Like we should be able to do that with diabetes as well. Just I haven't seen any ads like that. I've seen ads for the Libre, the Dexcom, but never just like ads like just like informing what type 1 diabetes is. I feel like we should do that. Like people should do that. I feel like that would actually be really cool if I actually saw one on the ad. And I think it could even help me. Like when I was like first diagnosed, I if that like if someone would have played an ad kind of like explaining what type 1 diabetes is, you would like be like new diabetics and be like, oh, well, I'm not alone. This person on the ad has it. Or there's other people. So I feel like just like that, just in general, could help a lot.
Or like
And then
more content, like explaining what diabetes is and more like
Mhm.
stuff on the online.
what do we expect slash hope for the future with diabetes?
I mean, ideally, I hope for a cure. That
Yeah.
would be nice.
But even if we can't get that, like just society puts aside its ignorance for diabetes, just in general, I think that'd be really good. Um, More advances in technology.
Yeah, that's always the thing. And then maybe some like legislative laws in favor of like diabetics. Like right now they
Yeah.
can't like join the army and they can't get a pilot's license. And I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't, but with technology these days, you can be a diabetic and live a
Yeah.
almost completely normal life.
Yeah,
So,
I get like they're kind of concerned. Well, if your blood sugar goes low and you're on like the battlefield or whatever, I get that. But if we can get technology to the point where there's no lows, there's no highs, you're just able to be leveled
mhm.
and just like that. Like there are the technologies where you're just level, you stay level, but you still have diabetes, but like there's technology that's able to make your blood sugar just stay completely normal so you can eat whatever you want, go exercise as much as you want, and just not go low or high. Like if we just get to like that level so where your blood sugar levels are just good, um, that would that's what I hope for the future. Kind
Yeah.
of yeah, like just technology advances. And I kind of do want to briefly talk about because so much has happened this week with diabetes
Yeah,
and
the cap
the
on.
bill. Yeah, that's pretty bad. So if you don't know, the infrastructure bill that when insulin was involved in the infrastructure bill, it would be capping insulin at $35 a month. And there's 12 months in a year. Do the math, people. You might think, oh, that's a lot of money. But let's compare. Some states are having insulin for $125 per vial.
Wow. And you use like 6 a month.
You can, yeah. If you use 6 a month, add that up for a month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky to live in a state where it's only $100 a month. So the most we can actually spend is like 12,000 or something, like dollars. Like that's like the most we can spend a year. But so many states don't have that. Like whether it's covered by insurance or not, you are still paying so much money out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And it got removed.
I mean, I get that companies do want to make a profit and stuff, but like for
It's like
more.
data that can like show I'm gonna go back on it because there's like this like insulin prices throughout the years.
Yeah. And it was like $8 a vial, and now it's like $250 a vial.
It's just, man. I'm here. In 2018, a study estimated that one vial of human insulin could cost around $2.28 to $3.42 to produce. That's human insulin. And one vial of analog insulin would have cost $3.69 to $6.16 to produce. That's just a difference on its own. It can add up over time. I get that. Like you do want to make profit. But the study also revealed that a year's supply of human insulin could cost around $48 to $71 per patient. And analog insulin could cost $78 to $133 per patient a year. You might be thinking, oh, well, that's okay. You can still make profit within that range.
Yeah. If you just.
But insulin prices have risen dramatically over the past couple years. And between 2012 to 2016, the price almost doubled according to Healthcare Cost Institute. And in 2012, the average cost of insulin per diabetes patient, want to take a guess? I'll give you a hint, it's in the thousands.
3,000?
Close. $2,864 per year. Want to guess how much it was to it rose quite a bit in 2016. $5,705 for 1 year.
That's crazy.
And today, one vial of insulin can cost $250. And like I think that's like the highest in a state. I don't know what state. But over those past couple of years, it's risen so much.
Yeah, I mean that has a lot to do with inflation too.
Yeah. But also it still costs around like $6 to produce.
Yeah.
That is quite a profit you're making.
But also like what is it? This isn't accounting for all the other stuff. Like Dexcoms are a separate thing, and doctor's appointments and all the other, like you have to have needles and you have to have or pumps or whatever. So it's that's just for insulin. That's not all the other stuff that you have to have too.
So like and like let's do the like $250. That's per vial, by the way, not per month. So some people can use, let's say, 2 vials a month. Do the math. That is like $500 right there in 1 month. Then you add Dexcom on top of that. Dexcom's normally around like, what's the price? Like
70, like 80 per sensor, and then you have the transmitter, but that lasts for about 6 months.
Yeah, the transmitter lasts for like 6 days, but it's still a lot. And like if you're on pens, well then you have to pay the price of insulin for pens. You have to pay the insulin price for the needles.
Then pumps, doctor's visits.
You have to pay for alcohol wipes. and let's say you're on a continuous glucose monitor, you have to pay for needles, test strips, the actual device itself, batteries in case it dies, because it does do that. See, if you're on a CGM, you have to pay for the sensor. If you're on Dexcom, you have to do a transmitter on top of that. If you're on a pump, you have to pay for the pump. You also have to pay for insulin vials too. Like, it just adds up.
Yeah, it does.
So diabetics are spending well over $1,000 a month if they don't have insurance. I don't even want to know how much. Like, that is like probably over $5,000 if they don't have insurance.
And then you like hear all these stories about people dying because they were rationing their supplies and
Yeah.
rationing.
In December, I'm pretty sure it was December, I heard the story. I think the girl, she was like 3 or 5 years old. Her parents couldn't afford it, so they started to ration and she died. Like, it was just a story. I don't know if it's true or not. This probably happened. I mean, but it's like a child, because insulin is necessary to live.
Yeah.
And a child died because of it. And even with $35 a month or per vial, insulin companies can still make a good profit.
Yeah.
And what's most of it, I think it's mostly just I don't want to say it's insurance, but it's the companies, because it's this whole like loophole with the cost of what it takes to produce, plus it goes through pharmacies, and that they drive the price up. So it's not even like really the makers, it's the pharmacy companies.
But there's also a lot of like there's a monopoly on it. There's not too many companies that make
Yeah.
it.
And if
We need more
you,
competition.
yeah, like the people who created insulin, I did this whole thing for discovery of like insulin. This year is like 100 years. They they made a patent, and then they like sold it for like $1 because they thought, if this is necessary for diabetics to have, this is going to save people's lives. We're
They
not
want to keep the costs down.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what they did is they sold it, they doubled it, so they can still make profit. So basically what they're doing is, we're gonna make this one vial of insulin, we're gonna sell this for this amount of money. We're gonna be able to make two with the amount of money. So you're playing the cost of what we made, and we're gonna make a little profit. That profit is gonna be made to make another like 2 vials of insulin, or another vial. And I get like over the years, like, so $1 back then, it would probably be equivalent to like $3 here, let's say. I get that, but still, that doesn't account for pharmacy companies driving up the price.
I
Like,
hear an argument in favor of pharmacy companies that these high prices of insulin allow like research in like cure for type 1 or better type 1 devices to happen. And I mean, like, if people are getting hurt, is the research really worth it?
yeah. And plus, you have organizations like JDRF, worldwide organization. They just make a lot of money off of donations, mostly off of families who have a diabetic in them, to fund this research.
Yeah.
And they need a whole breakthrough of they realized when I went in February, they announced that, like, hey, this is not, type 1 diabetes is not just like a genetic condition. It can happen to even people who do not have an ancestor who has type 1 diabetes. Like, it can increase their chance of getting, but it doesn't mean that they will get it. And also, this person who does not have diabetes, type 1 diabetes, they can still get it, even though they have no ancestor that has that. They made that breakthrough with research. And they're even now testing ways to, if we can like spark the body up doing insulin again. They made a discovery, they think of how to prolong type 1 diabetes. And it's like, this research is coming out of particularly JDRF.
Also,
So,
a lot of universities do research too.
yeah. And they're kind of like, I think they're kind of connected to JDRF in one way or another. Like, yeah, like, okay, so if the pharmacies are charging a lot of money, causing people to hurt themselves either way, then first of all, you're doing that, so that's bad on type 1 diabetics. But also, I see no way that this is connected to a diabetes organization. But if you're doing that, then I get like people they're not gonna announce they donate money, but a lot of like big companies, they're kind of like, well, hey, we're proud of this. We want to show you that we are donating to this. So they won't necessarily say like, how much money. They'll say, oh, we're donating 20% of our sales to this company. Like not exactly how much money, but like a certain percentage. I don't see that with the big pharmacy companies that are doing this. I
Yeah.
don't see that. And if they are, then to make more advances in the technology, shouldn't you be putting that money back into the companies who produce it? There's like big pharmacy companies are charging a lot for a Dexcom. Shouldn't it then, if they really are putting that money to advance it, shouldn't that be putting that money back into Dexcom directly? And this like I don't know, I saw this video of this guy explaining the costs. And it's this big whole loophole because we have no one checking to make sure these prices are set affordably for the average person to be able to buy them.
And
And
that's
now,
what the bill
like,
was trying to do.
yeah. And now limiting it, putting someone like, hey, we got it, someone's going to be in charge of making sure. But it just got voted out. So it's going to lead, it's not really going to do anything. Now it's just going to stay the same. So we need to take this fight to the state level now. If we can't get it done nationally, we have to do it by state.
Yeah.
And some people aren't going to listen. So it's just bad. But my mom did find a list of all the people who voted to remove insulin from the bill.
Hmm.
So um, she's trying to find like the office phone numbers, or like she wants to kind of like have a discussion of how lowering the price of insulin can help so many people. And like I like want to like say I want to add this like if we lower the cost of insulin, it's going to allow families to save money, and that money they save, they're going to go out to buy something else that they can't afford. Like maybe they're using so much money to purchase insulin that they can't get a new couch. But now that they're able to save that money because insulin is to be lower, they're able to buy a new couch or invest in the stock market or invest in the economy. It's going to boost our economy because they're investing that money that they're now have that extra money and use it to boost the economy.
Hmm.
So by keeping the price of insulin, you're not crazily helping the economy. So
Yeah.
like, you want to put in the economy standpoint, it's not going to work. So I don't really know much to really add on top of that, other than they're kind of being a little bit selfish.
Yeah. Have you heard of JDRF's Children's Congress?
Yeah, and like the ambassadors who go to
Yeah.
the yeah. Um I believe I was a part of it for some time, but like because of COVID, I quit.
Hmm.
And it's like we have to wait like to be an ambassador to do that, you have to be like raise like $3,000 a month.
Really? Do you? Because I know there's applications right now for like next June to go to DC and like talk with these like Congress and legislators like directly.
Mhm. Well, it's okay. My mom, we're already planning on calling them and having this conversation. So go ahead, annoy them some more. Um, but if they would have passed the insulin bill, they would still probably be going to DC and everything. But I think I am gonna try to do it because I have like you can put pages to where you can donate to these to it, and you can just like have like a link and people can just donate here and there.
Mhm.
And like let's say like you make $1 a day. Um, you're gonna at least make $360. Um, you're still gonna donate like $1 a day. That's like $365 a year. It's not, you might not think that, well, I don't think this is enough money to donate, but trust me, it adds up over time because if everyone in the world does that, like $1 a day, it adds up. Even if it's like a penny a day,
Yeah.
it's gonna add up over time. It might not add up right away, might seem like nothing, but it does add up over time.
The butterfly effect. Small
Yeah.
small things can have big
Mhm.
changes, big impact.
Yeah. So it's just I still can't get over that bad news of insulin, the price capping. I still can't. It's just pretty sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do need to take like initiative and spread
Yeah.
awareness about it. And it's good that you're calling the legislators and having a conversation with them. That should be very interesting and hopefully effective.
Hopefully, yeah. There I did go to a JDR conference. I think it was a couple years ago, like right before COVID hit.
Mhm.
So like very early 2020. Um, and there was, I think, yeah, like a representative for my state. He has a daughter. He said he was type 1 diabetic, so he was there, like, on like the panel talking about it. My mom met him and they were having a very good conversation about type 1 diabetes. So she sent like a letter out, like, is there anything else we can do besides like calling these people who wanted to remove it and say what it would mean for us if we had insulin price capping, what it would mean for not just us as like us, but as every diabetic. Um, and like obviously, like I would be sharing my story, but like if we get a lot of diabetics to just do this and like share their story of not just getting diagnosed, what it would mean for them, I feel like, well, maybe we can, like we still have to like have the ambassadors go to DC and talk to this more, but it might help start to kind of open their eyes to be like, hey, yeah, we can't do any more on this bill, but maybe the next bill we add this onto something like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
But we need to take this fight for insulin capping to state level now. And
Yeah.
I saw this one topic of how it's no more hot girl summer, it's now like businesswoman summer. I'm like, you're basically right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the next few years.
Yeah.
I
Um,
I feel like a lot of laws need to be updated on a lot of aspects of type 1 because like type 1 has changed so much and the laws need to catch up with that.
yeah. Like it's just not like, and I get like new research can come out like every couple of years. And I don't say like update them all, but like I think it's about time to update them from like 1920s or so. I have to look of how much was like, yeah, like every couple of years. Um, the Constitution, the US Constitution, was made to be updated every couple of years because our founding fathers realized like our country is going to evolve. That's why they made like the amendments
Mhm.
to, you can, they have basic things, but you can add them on as they need to be because they realize, well, what's the world gonna look like in like 100 years from now? It's gonna probably change drastically.
Mhm.
And over time, so yeah, that's why we have the amendments. We add things on as our society feels that we need.
And evolves.
So we should be doing the same with type 1 diabetes. Like we shouldn't not be in the 1920s mindset anymore. We should not be in the 2010s mindset of type 1 diabetes. We should be in the mindset that we are now and have this information
Yeah. Or all the diabetics need to like band together and create their own pharmacy company.
or something, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, let's put it through here. We'll make it $35 a month. Get it through us.
Skip the law, we'll do it
Yeah,
ourselves.
who cares? We'll do it ourselves. And actually, that is a good idea. I feel like I feel like some diabetic somewhere wants to start like their own kind of pharmacy company, and they're just gonna do that. I have a feeling they're just gonna do that. So
Yeah, we just need like a lot of people to band together, put a little money towards it, and
yeah,
work on
like
some.
good idea. Who knows if it would actually play out? But I mean, hey, let's make a plan.
In theory, it sounds good.
Yeah, in theory. Um, someone make a business plan about this. Someone do something.
Yeah.
Get someone who's really good with finance.
Yeah, yeah. No.
Um, anything else you kind of want to add to that? Or
No, I think you covered a lot of things. Um, I guess we could talk more about like the advances in type 1. Um, like the artificial pancreas or any like interesting research you've heard.
um, not that much. I did hear this one about how it, like, I think it was like an octopus like shoots insulin at its prey to kind of like stun it, and it'll make its blood sugar go really low. So then they're able to kind of like the predator's able to kind of come and get it. They were really, I don't know, I heard something. This was, I don't know, this could have just been my friend's mom thinking something. But she was like, they're looking into kind of like that. Like if they can do something with that, like with the insulin being expelled, if they can kind of like collect that or something. I don't know. I'm not really remembering this. I was low when she was talking about this, so probably not like the best time you're talking to a diabetic when their blood sugar is like 60 and go down. Probably not the best time. Um, and there was something involving a tigerfish, I'm pretty sure.
I remember a few years ago hearing about a study where they like took the pancreatic cells and they like made them look different and put them back in the person's body. And they last for about 3 months. So for 3 months, you'd be able to function normally until they die off, and then you'd have to do the whole process again. And I think they did a trial on a woman, and she was able to like her body was able to produce its own insulin, like regulate itself for like 3 months.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. I don't necessarily know how well it's going, but I did hear about that. I know JDF is like really like proud that you're saying this like yeah and everything. So, like that's cool, but obviously like they say 3 months. It could be shorter, could go a little bit longer. That could just be the time where they like, hey, like it can technically go on another like a couple more like weeks or something. But like we would recommend you get a redone. But then again, like who knows how much that would cost?
Yeah.
Insurances will cover. So like it might be like it might work for some people, might not work for everyone. And you can also forget the body may reject them too. The altered.
Yes. Yeah, it would. I'm not sure. I feel like, because you're disguising it as something else, so, the body could catch on, or I don't know enough about it, but I remember this was a few years ago and I haven't heard much since. So, you know.
Hopefully the person's living their best life. Hopefully no side effects. Hopefully it worked for them. Hopefully. Hopefully I hope the person's living their best life, whether they are doing well or not. But it might not like work for everyone. Like with like organ transplants, people still have to take it might fail. Um the body could reject it.
Yeah.
Or and then they have to take medicine to like keep up with it. So I kind of want to learn more about it. Like, will we have to take medicine for our bodies to kind of like have it work with them? Will it just be fine as it is? Like, what kind of like are symptoms that like we need to look out for, like side effects? Like, I kind of just want to know this stuff, and I get like it's just like a little trial. They're not going to announce everything.
Hmm.
Get like such a breakthrough with that, and be like, okay, yeah, this actually worked for this 3 months or this time period. Um, we're obviously going to look into it more, but just to kind of publish their findings a bit.
Yeah. And obviously things like this take like a long time to, like when she like discovers something, it takes like 10 years to implement and actually like
Yeah.
work.
Like,
So
even just, like, finding, like, they didn't have to publish how they got this stuff, but, like, how they did it. They're like, "We found that this person experienced this side effects,"
then you
or
need
this.
like patents and production and a lot more research and a lot more
Yeah.
trials just to make sure, it's safe and,
Yeah,
not.
but I would like to know, like, more information about this, so hopefully, if it did work, hopefully we would find out more. If it didn't work, I'd also kinda like to know because like, someone else could kind of piggyback off that idea and find a better way to do it, whether it's now or in the future.
Yeah. I
Like, I
think I think it's important because just because an idea didn't work out, you can rule that out or, parts of it could have worked and stuff like that.
you just need to find a way to adjust it or tweak it.
Yeah. And then
And
I
I
think
get
sorry.
yeah, like, I get, like, okay, well, this little tweak might not work for this person, but it could work for this person. Like, I
Mhm.
know it's different, but, like, you tweak it enough, you might find something you might have a couple different things that didn't work for this person, but one of these things that failed for that one person could work for someone else.
Mhm.
So I think it's just, like, a matter of, like, tweaking it per person.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Type 1 Talk.